Hello and enjoy our channel.
Imagine for a moment, what if the most intricate, maybe the most powerful organ in your body, the one running the whole show, every thought, feeling, action, what if it wasn't some fixed destiny?
Right, not just something you're stuck with.
Exactly, but more like a dynamic landscape, something you could actively, sculpt and improve.
That's a really powerful way to start thinking about it, and it perfectly sets up what we're diving into today.
Welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive.
We are definitely peeling back the layers today on, well, the fascinating world of brain health and optimization. We're looking at it through a pretty revolutionary lens, actually.
Yeah, a lot of our insights for this deep dive come from Dr. Daniel Amen. He's truly a world-leading expert here.
No doubt. The sheer scale of his work is kind of staggering. He's personally overseen and analyzed, over 250,000 brain scans?
250,000. It's incredible. And that includes, famous people like Justin Bieber, Miley Cyrus.
But also, crucially, everyday people. Individuals grappling with really severe mental health challenges. It's a massive data set.
And what makes his approach so, revolutionary and honestly exciting is his big mission. He wants to basically end mental illness, as we call it,
by sparking a revolution in brain health. That's the key shift.
Yes, moving away from those labels that can be so stigmatizing,
Yeah, labels that often carry shame, and moving towards things you can actually do, actionable solutions.
His core belief, which really resonated with me, is if you get your brain healthy,
your mind tends to follow. It's a fundamental shift. Looking at the organ itself, the hardware, not just the software glitches, so to speak.
Right. So our mission for you in this deep dive is exactly that. We want to pull out the most critical, the most actionable knowledge about what's really impacting your brain.
Both the good stuff and the bad stuff.
Definitely. We want to show you, hopefully with some real clarity, how understanding these sort of hidden mechanics inside your head.
The stuff you don't normally see or think about.
How that understanding can give you a kind of shortcut. A shortcut to being more informed, yeah, but also to living a healthier and honestly a happier, more fulfilled life.
It's like getting the user manual for your own brain, finally.
Totally. And be prepared, because we're going to share some genuinely surprising facts, things that might challenge what you thought you knew.
And some personal stories too, right?
Yeah.
Including your own experience with a brain scan.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was a huge aha moment for me, seeing my own scan. We'll get into that. Plus, lots of practical takeaways, things you can actually start doing.
To actively care for your brain.
Which, in turn, impacts pretty much everything else in your life. It's not just theory. It's about real change. Okay, let's unpack this.
We'll do it.
So let's jump right into the absolute core of Dr. Amen's whole philosophy. It really hinges on this fundamental, almost deceptively simple truth. Your brain is involved in absolutely everything.
Everything. It's not an exaggeration.
Think about it. How you think, your logic, your creativity, your perspective.
How you feel. Every emotion, from joy to anger to sadness, your mood.
How you act, the decisions you make, big and small, your impulses, your habits.
And maybe most importantly, how you connect with other people. Your relationships, your empathy, your social skills.
It's not just some abstract idea. It's the bedrock of his work. The brain is the conductor.
Right. The unseen conductor of your entire life's orchestra. From the tiny details to the grand movements.
So if you can really grasp that your brain is the central operating system for literally everything,
then the importance of keeping it healthy becomes crystal clear, doesn't it?
Massively. It's not just about avoiding problems like dementia down the road, though that's part of it.
No, Dr. Amen takes it further. He argues that a healthy brain isn't just about maintaining the status quo. It can actually give you, what does he call it? 10 extra years of cognitive performance.
10 extra years. Imagine that. A whole decade more of sharp thinking, good memory, clear focus.
Better problem solving. Sustained mental energy. It's huge.
And that doesn't just stay in your head, right? It ripples outward. He talks about better love.
Because you're more present, more empathetic, maybe less irritable.
Better money, because your focus and decision-making improve.
Makes sense. And of course, better health overall, because the brain regulates so many bodily functions too.
It really is the engine, the control center for everything. If it's not working well,
everything else suffers. Maybe subtly, maybe dramatically, but it's always affected.
And what's so empowering about this whole perspective is how it tackles that common assumption.
That you're just stuck with the brain you were born with.
Yeah, that this is just how I am feeling. Like it's fixed, unchangeable.
But his message, backed by all those scans, is the complete opposite.
It's that liberating truth. You're not stuck with the brain you have. You can make it better.
That single idea, for him and for so many of his patients, he says it's the most exciting lesson you can learn.
It really is. It means you have agency, control over your own cognitive future. Most people don't realize that.
They just assume decline is inevitable or that their current struggles are permanent.
But it's about actively shaping your cognitive destiny, not just passively accepting it.
And that shaping process, that agency, it often starts with one crucial first step: awareness.
Exactly. Which brings me to my personal aha moment, seeing my own brain scan.
Before that, was your brain just an abstract concept?
Totally. Like, I knew it was up there doing stuff, but seeing the image, seeing the patterns, the activity, the uniqueness of my brain.
It made it real, tangible.
Yeah, instantly. It wasn't just a brain, it was my brain.
Yeah.
And suddenly I felt this profound responsibility to take care of it.
Like any other vital organ you can see or feel more directly.
Precisely. That visualization, that awareness, it was the catalyst. It shifted everything from like an intellectual idea to a really personal mission.
That makes perfect sense. You have to see the target before you can aim for it, right?
Yeah, it was like finally getting the map to this incredibly complex city inside my head and realizing I could actually, improve the roads and infrastructure.
So how do we get that map? How does Dr. Amen get this unique lens into the brain? It's the SPECT scans, right?
Yes, SPECT, single photon emission computed tomography. But it's way more than just the scan itself.
It's a whole evaluation.
Exactly. It starts with really detailed questionnaires, your whole life history, experiences, medical stuff, emotional landscape.
Getting the context.
Right, and then specific tests, like the Connors Continuous Performance Test. Have you heard of this?
Vaguely. It tests attention, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's fascinating. 15 minutes. Letters flash on a screen. You hit the space bar for every letter except X.
Sounds simple, but probably reveals a lot.
It really does. About impulse control, sustained attention, how you react under a bit of pressure.
So it's this holistic view, the imaging, the personal history, the cognitive tests.
All woven together. He's very clear. He never diagnoses just from a scan alone.
The scan is data, but the context is key.
Exactly. It has to be understood within your story, your symptoms, your challenges, your strengths. It's deeply personalized.
Okay, so once you have all that data, what does a healthy brain scan actually look like? What are we aiming for?
It's kind of like looking at a weather map, but for brain activity. He shows them in two main ways. First, the shape view.
Like the surface.
Yeah, the outside. And a healthy brain should look full, even symmetrical. Nice and balanced activity all over there.
Any key areas he points out.
Definitely. The prefrontal cortex right behind your forehead, that's huge in humans, like 30% of our brain. Way bigger than in chimps.
That's our CEO, right? Planning, judgment, impulse control.
Exactly. And the cerebellum, back and bottom, crucial for processing speed, coordination, even some emotional stuff.
And in this shape view, the color doesn't matter.
Right. It's just about that full, even symmetrical look, good overall structure.
Okay, then what's the second view? The activity images.
Yes. And here, color is everything. It shows how active different areas are.
How does the color coding work?
Blue is like average activity. Red is the top 15%. And white. White is the top 8%.
So white means really high activity.
Yeah, those are the hot spots, where things are really firing efficiently. Intense, vibrant activity. That's what you want to see in a healthy brain, especially in key areas.
A visual sign of vitality.
Exactly. But then you start looking at the abnormalities, and that's where it gets really interesting and sometimes uncomfortably personal.
Like with your scan. What did that show?
Mine had this sort of bumpy texture on the surface view.
Gumpy. What does that mean?
Dr. Amen said it often points to toxins, which immediately made him ask about my environment growing up. And yeah, I grew up in a really old house, dusty, dirty, definitely had visible mold around the windows. He explained mold exposure can cause low-grade inflammation and brain issues even years later.
Wow. It's not just about obvious drugs or alcohol, then.
Not at all. He even said his own brain looked toxic initially because of high mercury levels he had to track down. From fish, fillings, who knows?
Everyday environmental stuff. Heavy metals, mold.
Things we often don't even think about.
Okay, what else? What about those holes he talks about? That sounds scary.
It does, but they're not actual physical holes. It's important to understand that.
So what are they?
They represent areas with less blood flow than is optimal. Parts of the brain just aren't getting enough fuel, oxygen, nutrients to work properly.
Like dim lights in parts of the city?
Good analogy. But here's the hopeful part. He says these areas can improve if you follow the right interventions, make the right changes.
So they're not permanent damage necessarily.
Not necessarily. He even has programs that kind of predict how much improvement you might see based on how well you stick to the plan. It shows you the potential for recovery.
That's incredibly motivating. Okay, so specific areas. If there's low activity, say in the front left part.
Left prefrontal cortex, yeah.
Yeah.
That's often linked to classic ADHD symptoms. Poor focus, disorganization, trouble in school or work, even if you're smart.
That sounds familiar from what you said about your childhood.
Totally. Teachers thought I was lazy or useless. Even though I was a nice kid, I just couldn't focus unless I was super interested.
What about other areas? Like the temporal lobes on the sides?
Decreased activity in the left temporal lobe, he often connects that with irritability, having a short fuse.
Interesting. You mentioned your mom might have that trait.
Yeah, along with other potential ADHD signs. It's fascinating how these patterns seem to map onto real behaviors.
And your sleepy cerebellum, even though you're coordinated.
Right. It means even if it functions okay generally, it's underactive compared to its potential. Needs waking up for optimal performance.
But maybe the most striking pattern, the diamond pattern. What's that about?
That one is strongly linked to past emotional trauma. It's a very specific visual.
What does it look like? What's happening in the brain?
It's an overactive emotional brain.
Yeah.
Key areas are firing way too much. The anterior cingulate your brain's gear shifter gets stuck in negative loops.
Okay.
The thalamus, the sensory relay station, gets overwhelmed. The basal ganglia involved in habits gets stuck on anxiety. And the amygdala.
The fear center.
Exactly, stuck on high alert. All this leads to chronic worry, anxiety, sadness.
And this stems from trauma.
Often from experiences like growing up in a hostile environment. He specifically mentioned parents at war, which was exactly my childhood. Seeing that pattern on my scan, it was chilling, but also validating.
Wow. It's physical proof of how deep those experiences go. Not just memories, but actual brain changes.
It's literally in your brain.
Yeah.
Astounding. So, okay, if we know what these troubled scans can look like, what actually causes the damage? What are the culprits?
This is where his Bright Minds acronym comes in handy, right? To categorize the threat.
Exactly. Let's start with T for toxins.
We touched on this. It's more than just the obvious stuff like illegal drugs or too much alcohol.
Or marijuana. He's clear that lowers brain blood flow. It's not harmless like some people think.
Right, but the less obvious ones. Mold, heavy metals like lead or mercury. Even things like anesthesia can have an impact.
And the hidden dangers in just everyday products. That's eye-opening.
He mentioned the Think Dirty app. The check your bathroom stuff.
Yeah. Use it to scan your mouthwash, toothpaste, deodorant, makeup. You might be surprised.
He found his own shaving cream was super toxic.
Is Barbasol. A 9 out of 10. The app basically said, use this, die early. He switched fast.
And these everyday toxins, they add up. He links them to bigger issues, like that epidemic of low testosterone in males.
It makes you really reevaluate what you put on your body, not just in it.
Okay, so next, in Bright Minds, D for diet and weight, or he calls it diabesity.
Yeah, merging diabetes and obesity because they're so linked and both terrible for the brain. The sugar trap is huge here.
Especially fruit juice, right? The unwrapped fruit sugar.
Exactly. Without the fiber of the whole fruit, that sugar hits your system like a bomb. It's pro-inflammatory.
Causes inflammation everywhere.
Leads to high blood sugar, which damages blood vessels, including the ones in your brain. Reduces blood flow.
And it's addictive. Like a gateway drug to diabetes and obesity.
And that inflammation itself, he says it's a root cause of depression and dementia. It's a nasty cycle.
And obesity on its own. The research is scary.
Terrifying. Studies of tens of thousands of people show it clearly. As weight goes up, the actual physical size and function of the brain go down.
It shrinks the brain.
Effectively, yeah. Its function decreases. That realization motivated him to lose 25 pounds himself. He called it a disaster, one of the greatest epidemics ever.
And society kind of pushes us towards it, doesn't it?
Totally. Restaurants giving you bread first. That sugar spike actually messes with your frontal lobe function, makes you more impulsive.
So you order more. Sneaky.
And huge portions. Plus, that whole history of the sugar industry paying scientists to blame fat instead of sugar back in the 60s.
We're still dealing with the fallout from that.
For sure. Okay, next is H for head trauma. The silent saboteur.
Because the brain is so vulnerable, right? Even inside the skull.
He describes it like soft butter inside a hard shell with sharp, bony ridges, so even minor impacts matter.
Like hitting heads in soccer. Or falling off a bike as a kid.
Yeah. He says just 2 or 3 significant hits can have lifelong consequences. And the scary part is nobody looks. He thinks it's crazy that psychiatrists rarely ever image the brain when dealing with issues like focus problems or irritability. It's a massive blind spot.
The consequences can be devastating. You mentioned that tragic Kip Kinkle case.
Yeah, the scans showed his brain was shriveled, likely from lack of oxygen, infection, or toxins. It's an extreme example, but it shows the potential impact.
And his NFL study, too, showing the effects of repetitive trauma even years later.
Every hit counts. It really does.
Okay, moving beyond the big hits.
Yeah.
What about everyday lifestyle choices?
Those can be just as insidious. Caffeine and nicotine, for example.
They constrict blood flow.
Yeah, to the brain. Over time, that can contribute to a shrinking brain. He doesn't directly link moderate caffeine to dementia, but...
Too much caffeine messes up sleep.
Exactly. And bad sleep is linked to dementia. A venti Starbucks has a ton of caffeine, over 330 milligrams. That's a lot. Could easily disrupt sleep for many.
And then there's the big one, screens, social media, endless scrolling.
Oh yeah. He says too much screen time over 3.5 hours a day basically wears out your pleasure centers.
The nucleus accumbens, your reward hub.
Right. Every notification, is a little dopamine hit. But too much desensitizes it, like blowing out a speaker.
So everyday joys feel less rewarding. You need bigger hits.
Pretty much. He links this to rising rates of anxiety, depression, addiction, obesity, even ADHD symptoms.
And that awful comparison dragon, especially for teens.
Yeah, comparing your real life to perfectly curated online lives. Devastating for self-esteem, especially for girls. He thinks it's a factor in the rise of teen suicide.
It's pervasive. And what about loneliness? The pandemic really highlighted that.
He's quite critical of the enforced isolation. Says the U.S. government got an F because loneliness significantly accelerates dementia and brain problems.
So connection is brain medicine.
Absolutely critical, he argues. Just like avoiding negative media.
The news, being constantly scared.
Yeah, he says it's often designed to scare you, gets eyeballs, sells ads, but it warps your brain, makes you less happy.
People starting their day with news are 27% less happy later.
That's the stat he cited. Even listening to true crime before bed. It messes with your dreams, your anxiety levels. You're feeding your brain fear.
Okay, so we know what harms the brain. What about conditions like ADHD? How do we understand and optimize those?
Right. He clarifies that ADD and ADHD are basically the same thing now. DSM cleared that up in the 80s. But the key point...
Many people with it aren't hyperactive.
Exactly. They're the quiet and attentive ones. They struggle internally but don't cause trouble, so they often go undiagnosed for years, suffering silently.
That's a really important distinction.
And diagnosis isn't just the scan, it's the whole picture life history genetics. For me, realizing my mom's traits, irritability, bad handwriting, disorganization, might point to her own ADHD, that was huge.
And you mentioned the over-focused ADD subtype.
Yeah, that fit me perfectly. Hyper-focused on things I love, can't focus at all on things I don't. It was like, okay, that explains so much.
But ADHD isn't all bad, right? He talks about the strengths, too.
Definitely. He sees a strong link with creativity, innovation, entrepreneurship. Lots of successful CEOs have ADHD.
And they succeed by leveraging it.
Often, yeah. They learn to hire organized people to handle the details they struggle with. Literally, hiring different brains to build a balanced team. They focus on their strengths.
And if treatment involves medication, how does he frame that?
His analogy is brilliant. He calls it glasses for the frontal lobes.
Like glasses help eyes focus.
Stimulant medication, when used correctly, can help activate the prefrontal cortex and cerebellum. Gives them better energy to improve focus, control impulses.
Just stigmatizes it nicely.
Totally. He mentioned a patient with a super high IQ who couldn't finish college until medication helped her brain activate properly, allowed her to access her potential.
But he doesn't push medication, right? It's about options.
Exactly. Informed choice. And a crucial part of that is discussing the side effects of not taking the medicine.
Meaning the impact on your life if it goes untreated.
Yeah. Relationships suffer. Finances can be a mess. Chronic stress. The question is, are you optimized? Do you have full access to your own brain? Understanding that trade-off is key.
That's a powerful perspective. Okay, shifting slightly. His idea of rebranding mental illness.
As brain disorders, it's about removing the shame, the stigma. If the brain's healthy, the mind usually follows.
Makes sense. And for something like depression, it's not just about feeling sad.
No, it's serious. Can double or quadruple Alzheimer's risk. And he argues you have to look for underlying biological causes.
Like thyroid problems, anemia,
Yeah.
B12 deficiency.
Things like that. Not just jump to antidepressants, which might mask the symptom but not fix the underlying brain health issue. You need to know the why.
And he has that exercise for negative thoughts, the ANTS.
Killing the NTS.
Yeah.
Automatic negative thoughts. It's a powerful habit-forming technique. 5 steps.
Okay, walk us through it.
First, notice when you feel bad, sad, mad, nervous. Write down the negative thought. Capture it.
Step 1, identify.
Step 2, question it. Ask, is it true? Is it absolutely true? That's from Byron Katie's work. Really challenges it.
Step 3, reflect on its impact. How do you feel, act? What's the outcome when you believe it?
Step 4, imagine its absence. How would you feel or act without the thought? What's that outcome?
And step 5, his favorite.
Turn it around. State the exact opposite. If it's Tana never listens, turn it to Tana does listen. Then ask, is that opposite thought true? Even sometimes.
And doing this repeatedly actually changes the brain.
He says yes, maybe 100 times over time. It builds new positive highways, new neural pathways. It shows you it's not the thoughts themselves, but the ones you attach to that cause suffering.
Like that patient Noel Nelson. Her scans changed in real time based on her thoughts.
Exactly. Beautiful brain when appreciating herself, deactivated parts when hating herself. Explains things like athletes slumping negativity literally turns off coordination centers like the cerebellum.
It's about accurate thinking with a positive bias, rewiring.
Which brings us back to trauma. Remember the diamond pattern. Overactive emotional brain.
Right, so how do you process that?
Yeah,
He mentioned EMDR.
eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It sounds a bit strange, but it's a recognized psychological treatment with biological effects.
How does it work?
You recall the trauma while moving your eyes back and forth. That bilateral stimulation helps the brain process the memory, integrate it, and reduce its emotional punch.
Can it work quickly?
Sometimes, yeah. For single events like a robbery, maybe just a few sessions. Chronic trauma takes longer. He even gifted his wife 10 sessions for her high ACE score.
Adverse childhood experiences.
Right. And he feels it really helped their relationship by calming her triggers.
And trauma isn't just the huge stuff.
No, that's crucial. It's anything that attacks your sense of safety, physical or emotional. Getting fired, a major public failure. It depends on how your brain perceives that threat to your safety.
Which leads to the idea of brain reserve, your baseline health.
Exactly. How healthy is your brain before the trauma hits? Things like mom's drug use during pregnancy, parental conflict, bad nutrition, chronic stress, they lower your reserve.
And high reserve means more resilience.
Yes. You might experience post-traumatic growth instead of just stress. Building that reserve, killing ANTS, healthy lifestyle makes you better equipped when life throws punches.
Like a mental savings account.
Perfect analogy. Okay, so we know the threats, we know about conditions. How do we actively boost brain health? Make things better?
Movement is medicine, right? That seemed key.
Hugely powerful. Exercise boosts blood flow, increases BDNF, that brain fertilizer.
Helps neurons grow and connect.
Boosts serotonin for mood, dopamine for motivation, and the longevity link is stark.
That 80-year-old example, walk 3 miles per hour, 90% chance of reaching 90. Walk 1 mile per hour.
90% chance of not reaching 90. His advice, walk like you're late. Keep it brisk.
Simple, effective. What about supplements?
Targeted ones can help. He takes ginkgo daily, says it increases blood flow, sees the prettiest brains in people who take it.
Omega-3s are critical too. Fish oil, since most people are deficient.
93% deficient, yeah. Essential for brain cell membranes. And vitamin D.
Especially for people with darker skin in less sunny places.
Right. Deficiency seriously increases risk of things like bipolar disorder. Critical nutrient.
And sleep. The S in bright minds. You said you're obsessed now.
Utterly, because it's not just rest. It's when the brain's lymphatic system cleans house.
The brain's dishwasher.
Exactly. Flushes out toxins, waste products, including beta amyloid linked to Alzheimer's. Less sleep means a toxic, dirty brain. He regrets his years of thinking 4 or 5 hours was fine.
And sleep apnea is a huge threat during sleep.
Massive. The snoring, stopping breathing. It triples Alzheimer's risk. The scans look like early Alzheimer's.
Because you're starving the brain of oxygen.
Repeatedly, all night. He says it's the worst thing you can do. Getting it treated is absolutely critical if you suspect it.
Okay, so oxygen is vital. That explains why breath work helps too.
Makes total sense, that 15-second breath he taught you. In for 8, hold 1.5, out for 4, hold 1.5.
Repeat 4 and 8 times. Can stop a panic attack.
And practicing it regularly boosts your HRV heart rate variability.
Which is a measure of resilience, right? More variability is better.
Yes. Low HRV is linked to anxiety, depression, heart disease, dying early. It means your nervous system is less adaptable, stuck in stress mode.
But you can improve it. Meditation, breathwork, exercise, good sleep.
All boost HRV. Makes you more resilient.
And this is where your alcohol story comes in. The Whoop strap.
Yeah, that was the clincher for me. Wearing the Whoop, seeing that even one glass of wine tanked my HRV into the flashing red zone.
Like being sick or intensely stressed.
Exactly the same physiological response as having COVID or pulling an all-nighter. I just thought, nope, not worth it. Compromising my brain health. Dr. Amen confirmed even a little alcohol messes with the brain's white matter, the communication highways. Less blood flow over time, less impulse control.
Makes sense. What about saunas and cold plunges? They're popular now.
He's a fan. Saunas, especially infrared, are great for detoxing heavy metals like mercury. Studies link regular sauna used to lower Alzheimer's rates in Northern Europe.
And cold plunges.
Can boost dopamine significantly, may help with inflammation, pain, depression. But gotta be careful if you have heart issues.
Powerful tools. And finally, that one-page miracle. Planning your life.
Yeah, creating a simple one-page strategic plan. What do you really want in relationships, work, money, health, physical, emotional, spiritual?
Just writing it down helps.
He says that clarity helps your brain unconsciously work towards those goals. Changes your focus, your actions, builds those positive highways aligned with what you want. It's about intentionality.
Okay, so zooming out a bit, what about bigger societal issues? Gender differences?
Right. He has some provocative ideas there, like scanning presidential candidates.
Biden, Trump, checking their judgment, impulse control given the stakes. Nuclear codes.
He actually wrote about that back in 2008. His point is about cognitive fitness for immense responsibility. Raises complex ethical questions, obviously.
The immediate pushback is brain discrimination.
Yeah.
Right? In jobs, dating.
Of course. But then he shared that he actually does this in his own family. Scans his kids' partners before things get serious.
Wow, really?
Yeah. He jokes, he doesn't ask, "Can't you come back?" But, "Are you smart enough to fix it?" His son-in-law even wrote about his scan. For Amen, it's about responsibility for the brain, even in relationships.
That's conviction. And what about intimacy? Brain health and sex drive.
Huge connection. The brain is the biggest sex organ. He says, forethought is foreplay. Mental engagement matters.
And problems like ED or low libido often link back to blood flow and hormones.
Often, yes, which are brain-related issues. He suggests understanding brain types a busy frontal lobe might need indirect suggestions for intimacy.
And natural boosters. Pasta, walks, dark chocolate for serotonin. Baby powder as an aphrodisiac.
Yeah, the baby powder thing was funny, linked to nesting instincts. And he even mentioned timing in a woman's cycle, day 4 to 18 being potentially better due to hormonal shifts.
Fascinating details.
Yeah.
And the fundamental differences between male and female brains from those 46,000 scans.
Wildly significant differences, he said. Hormones like estrogen and testosterone shape things profoundly.
Women's brains tend to have better frontal lobe function, better impulse control, collaboration.
Generally, yes, makes them good leaders, but their emotional limbic brain is much busier.
Leading to twice the rate of depression compared to men.
Right. They're often primary caretakers, stronger nesting instinct makes moves harder. They attempt suicide more, but men complete it more often.
Using more violent means less likely to talk about it. That macho thing.
That's how he framed it. Men, on the other hand,
Higher rates of jail time, addiction, gambling, drugs, alcohol.
14 times more likely to go to jail, 5 times higher addiction rates. Often linked to less communication, reluctance to seek help. These aren't just stereotypes. He sees them reflected in brain function differences. Understanding them is key for tailored support.
Absolutely. So wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway?
The most empowering message, I think, is simply, your brain isn't static. It's not fixed.
It's constantly changing, being made better or worse by everything you do.
Every day, every choice. But the power to change it, to heal it, to optimize it, that power is in your hands.
Understanding that is the key. Unlocking your potential.
And maybe that final provocative thought from him, something to really chew on.
That happiness is a moral obligation.
Yeah, it's not just selfish pursuit. Your happiness or your lack of it affects everyone you interact with. It ripples out.
It's taking care of your brain, cultivating happiness. It's not selfish at all.
He says it's the most loving thing I can do for other people, an act of self-care that benefits everyone.
And has the potential to tilt generations to come, society itself.
Powerful stuff, a responsibility, but also really a gift to yourself and to the world.